Hello students, hope you are following the lessons well. Last class we discussed the reaction of metals with air or oxygen, isn't it? So there what we saw, we have a rough idea of the reactivity of metals. Like what we have seen is sodium and potassium was highly reactive. Then we see the moderate reactive metals like magnesium, aluminum and zinc. Then we saw the least reactive metals like gold, silver, etc. Okay, so that was a rough idea of the reactivity of metals. But that wasn't enough for us to say that these metals are highly reactive and some metals are less reactive. So we are going into another reaction, that is reaction of metals with water. So today's topic is reaction of metals with water. Okay. Now we will see how the metals react with water. We can see the first metals which we considered earlier also as potassium and sodium. As I told you, these two metals are highly reactive in nature. So here also is the same case as potassium, it reacts with water. That means I can write in cold water to form the corresponding hydroxide plus hydrogen. See, potassium reacts with water, that is in cold water, to form the corresponding hydroxide plus hydrogen, and here I can write a large amount of heat energy is released. So I can write the equation as K plus H2O giving KOH plus H2 plus heat energy, which means that this reaction is highly exothermic in nature. What do you mean by exothermic? Exothermic means heat energy is evolved. Okay, now if I say the observation of this reaction, potassium on reacting with water or potassium and sodium, sodium also the same I can write Na plus H2O giving NaOH plus H2 plus heat energy, same. So these two reactions are highly exothermic in nature, which means this reaction is violent. What do you mean by violent? Violent means on reaction with potassium and water, the reaction catches fire. That is important. The observation is the reaction catches fire. Now the question is how it catches fire. You know that hydrogen is released in both these cases of potassium and sodium on reaction with cold water. Okay. Now what happens? A large amount of heat energy is released here, isn't it? And this heat energy is enough for hydrogen to burn or to catch fire. So this heat energy is more than sufficient to make this hydrogen into fire. So that is how it catches fire. So these two reactions are highly exothermic in nature and it is very violent in nature and it catches fire. And how it catches fire? This heat energy liberated will catches the hydrogen into flames or fire. So it is very important. Board exam question is asked. How it catches fire. Okay. So got it? Clear? Okay. Now just balance it. Okay. Whenever you write an equation, you just balance it. Okay. Now coming to another metal, that is, so we can say sodium and potassium, there is a violent reaction. Okay. Now coming to calcium. Next. What happens when calcium reacts with water? Calcium also reacts with water, that is cold water, and form the corresponding hydroxide, calcium hydroxide plus hydrogen. Okay. Here also heat energy is released, but it is not so high in order to catch this hydrogen into fire or burn this hydrogen. You got the difference? That is, in the case of sodium and potassium it catches fire, but in the case of calcium it does not catches fire. Why? Because heat energy is liberated here, but it is not so sufficient to get that hydrogen into flames or catch the hydrogen into flames. Okay, so I can say calcium reacts less violently than sodium and the potassium. Got it? Yes. Now we will, but one more thing, one important thing in this calcium reaction is that, you know, see, when calcium is put in water, what happens? It sinks to bottom, right? It's a metal. Now, on this reaction with calcium or even sodium and potassium, the same thing, what happens? Bubbles will come. And what is this bubble? This bubble is hydrogen gas, isn't it? Okay, now what will happen? This hydrogen gas will come up along with the calcium. That means the hydrogen gases surrounds the calcium and it makes the calcium to float on the surface. You got that point? That means calcium floats on the surface of water. How this calcium floats? You know, on the reaction of calcium with water, hydrogen is liberated, isn't it? Now the hydrogen will surround this calcium and bring into this surface and it will float. Float means hydrogen is going like floating. Okay, so along with hydrogen the calcium is also moving. So that we can say the calcium floats on the surface of water. So this point is also important. So on reaction with water, it floats on water because of hydrogen is surrounded by calcium and make this calcium to float on the surface of water. But it does not catches fire or it does not burn. Why? Even though heat energy is liberated, that heat energy is not sufficient for this hydrogen to burn or catch fire. Correct? You got it? Okay. Now coming to the third metal like magnesium. You know magnesium, right? So magnesium, it does not react with cold water, but it reacts with hot water. See the reactivity, how it differs from metal to metal. So magnesium reacts with water or hot water to form magnesium hydroxide, the corresponding hydroxide plus hydrogen. Here also the same thing happens, that is it does not burn. Why? Because it is not, the heat energy is not sufficient to burn this hydrogen. That is the first point. Second point, what we said in calcium, the same applies to magnesium also. That is, the magnesium also here floats on the surface of the water. Why you know? I have explained it here. Because it will come up along with the bubbles of, along with the hydrogen bubbles. That is why it floats on the surface of water. So the same thing is applicable in both calcium and magnesium, but the reactivity differs in such a way that the calcium reacts with cold water and magnesium reacts with hot water. So is that clear? Okay. Now coming to the next metal, so potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium. Now coming to aluminium. Now what happens in the case of aluminium and iron? These aluminium, iron, zinc, lead, etc., that is the moderately reactive metals, it does not react with water. See, differing of the reactivity of different metals. It does not react with either cold water or hot water, but it reacts with steam. What is steam? Hydrogen in the gaseous form. In the book, a diagram is given for this, so please check out for the diagram. That is the iron, there they are given as iron. So iron on reaction with the steam will give you, see the product, here there is a difference in the product. That means you are getting iron oxide, Fe3O4 plus hydrogen. See, there is a major difference here. What you have studied is you are getting this corresponding hydroxide when reacts with water, correct? Now coming into the moderately reactive metals like aluminium, iron and zinc, they does not react with cold water or hot water, but they react with steam. So when you write the equation in the examination, please make sure that you have written either as steam or you can write it as what? Gaseous form or G. Either one will do. It's very important. Okay, so aluminium, iron or zinc react with the steam to form the corresponding, see, it is not hydroxide but it is oxide. The oxide is formed along with hydrogen. So these three are moderate metals. That is, the reactivity decreases. We can see from this reactions, that is from potassium to zinc, the reactivity decreases slowly, correct? Now, if you ask me why here the oxide and why not the hydroxide, why? Because last class I have talked about alkalis, no? Alkalis. What do you mean by alkali? Alkali means something dissolving in water or soluble in water. When you studied last class the lithium or sodium oxide or potassium oxide, I told you that almost all metals are insoluble in water, but there are exceptions, like some metals are soluble, some metal oxides are soluble in water. So that metal oxide when dissolved in water to form the corresponding what? Hydroxide, which you call it as alkali. Do you remember? So check out for that previous lesson. Okay. So here what happens? This oxide is formed. Okay. Now the least metal you know, what? Copper. For example, if I take copper plus water, no reaction even in steam or cold water or hot water. So nothing happens. So you can say copper is least reactive when compared to the other metals. Then you come across with silver, mercury, gold, etc. That reaction is nil. There is no reaction with the water, you know, right? Gold has no reaction with the cold water or hot water. So from these reactions you can say that, or you can have a better idea than the reaction with air, that these reactions, that potassium and sodium can be considered as what? More reactive, because there is a violent reaction taking place. Same as the case of air. Now then coming back, calcium, because there also there is an exothermic, but the heat is not so well to have the hydrogen to catch fire. Correct? But magnesium when compared, it does not react with cold water, but it reacts with hot water to form the corresponding hydroxide and hydrogen. But see what happens to the moderate elements like iron, aluminium and zinc, lead, that react with steam to form the corresponding oxide or hydrogen. You know why the difference? Because this iron oxide is not soluble in water, that is why oxide is formed. Now I can say, is it clear? Okay. Now I can say one generic equation regarding the reaction of metals with water. Generic reaction means we can use in all the metals. Okay. That is, see, I can write metal plus water, correct, will give you, I will write metal oxide plus hydrogen. And again I can write metal oxide plus water will give you the corresponding metal hydroxide. So this is the generic equation which I can write in the case of reaction with water. You find it in your textbook also. Simple. That is, in the case of what? In the case of potassium, it reacts with water. It forms the potassium oxide plus hydrogen, and the potassium oxide reacts with water to form the potassium hydroxide. So you wrote in one step in that. Correct. You want to write that? Okay. Listen. Potassium plus water will give you potassium oxide plus hydrogen, and this potassium oxide which is soluble in water to form potassium hydroxide. This is the actual equation, a two-step equation in the case of potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, etc. But you don't have to worry about it. You just write the one equation, that is potassium plus water will give you KOH plus hydrogen. That's all. You don't write these two equations. Just leave it. Just to make you understand why I wrote like this, because it is given in your textbook. So you will have a confusion, why this metal oxide and then why this metal hydroxide. It is nothing but the potassium, calcium, etc. that oxide is soluble in water to form the metal hydroxide. That's all. Okay. So this is all regarding the reaction with water. Hope you got it. Okay. Now we will pass on to the next type of reaction, that is reaction with acids. Is it clear, the reaction with the water? Okay, now while preparing the notes, I want to tell you, you have to have the value point in that. Suppose if a question is asked like why sodium and potassium catches fire, you write the reaction is more fast, or the sodium is very reactive, etc. But if you look into the value points or the key points while in the board exam, there we are looking for the value point as the sodium or the reaction of sodium and potassium are highly exothermic in nature. So that is the value point, that is exothermic. We are looking for that point. Okay, then only the full marks will get there. So make sure that you are having all the value points in your answer. Okay, so hope you understood that reaction with water. Now we will pass on to the reaction with the acids. Okay, the reactions with dilute acids. This is easy. Okay, now we will follow the same reactivity series what you have mentioned in the case of water. Listen, that is generally I can write, that is metal plus dilute acid. You know what is dilute? Yes, concentrating, we pour water and make it dilute. You will get metal plus acid will give you salt plus hydrogen. Very, very important equation, that is metal plus dilute. I wrote dilute. Okay, it's important. Dilute acid will give you salt plus hydrogen. Okay, just a simple example. So I wrote dilute acid and I am also mentioning it as HCl or H2SO4 or H2CO3, etc. Okay, any acid. Now, if I write like for example, okay, when I talk about sodium and potassium, you know, sodium and potassium are very, very reactive metals even in air or what? Water. So, you know what will be the reaction with dilute acids, isn't it? It is highly, highly exothermic and we are not doing that, because we know it is highly, highly reactive. Okay, now when you come from sodium and potassium, next is what? Calcium and magnesium. Okay, now calcium, for example, calcium plus HCl. What you will get? You will get the salt as calcium chloride plus hydrogen. See, this is a salt. Okay, now calcium plus dilute. Okay, please write, remember, you have to put dilute because in concentrated it will be another product. So dilute HCl will give you calcium chloride plus hydrogen. If you balance it, 2HCl. Correct? Or another example as magnesium plus H2SO4. If you want another acid, dilute, you will get what? Its corresponding salt. That is, sorry, corresponding salt, that is magnesium sulfate plus hydrogen. See? It's already balanced. So, generally you can say a metal react with dilute acids will give you salt plus water. But how will you say that calcium or magnesium, or how will you say that magnesium is less reactive than calcium? Or how is calcium more reactive than magnesium? Or if I say aluminium is less reactive than magnesium, what is the criteria what we are looking for in this reaction with acid? That is, when you are doing this experiment, if you note the temperature of this experiment, temperature means what? Temperature means you will get a heatness when you touch the bottom of the test tube in this reaction or in this reaction. I think I have shown this reaction with zinc. Do you remember in the first class or second class? I have showed you that zinc plus HCl will give you zinc chloride plus hydrogen. And there you have seen the bubbles of hydrogen coming up. And I asked you to touch the bottom of the test tube and you told that it is getting warm, right? Okay. The same thing happening here. That is, if you see the temperature, now how will you see the temperature? You can dip a thermometer into it. Okay, you dip a thermometer into it. If you note the temperature, which metal is getting the reacting faster? You can check by the hydrogen bubbles also. That means, if I say two cases, if we say magnesium and zinc, there are two metals in two test tubes. with dilute HCl, for example, if I dip a thermometer into these two, okay, then what will happen? The magnesium will record what? High temperature than zinc, or the bubbles coming from the magnesium is very, very fast when compared to the bubbles coming from the zinc. Then we can say what? We can say the magnesium is more reactive than zinc. See how the criteria changes? When we are discussing about the acid reaction, we are saying that how fast or how slow the reaction is depending on the temperature. We are taking the temperature as a criteria. But what about in the other with water? That was with the cold water, hot water or steam. See? So here we can say that the magnesium is more reactive than zinc by the temperature reading. Correct? Now if I say, if in a question it can be asked as, write the order of this reaction. If you are giving say magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, we can say magnesium is more reactive than aluminium, which is more reactive than zinc, which is more reactive than iron. Simple. Just use the logic, that's all. The bubbles are coming faster in magnesium, the temperature is recorded high, then aluminium, then zinc and then iron. Correct? So this is a simple case where generic equation applies, that is metal plus dilute acid will give you the corresponding salt plus hydrogen. Is it clear? Okay. Now I want to tell you some exception in this case. When we talked about this dilute acid, I only said HCl, H2SO4, H2CO3 and I never mentioned about HNO3. Dilute HNO3. Very, very important board question. Very, very important. So there is an exception for the metals which react with the dilute HNO3. Listen very carefully. What was our generic equation? Metal plus any acid. Okay, just exception is HNO3. Acid means HCl, H2SO4 or carbonic acid will give you the corresponding salt plus hydrogen, isn't it? Now, what will happen when the metals react with dilute HNO3? This is a question. Or here you will get salt plus water plus oxides of nitrogen. Listen carefully. This is a different type of reaction. See what happens? Metal plus dilute HNO3 will give you salt plus water, not hydrogen. Listen, not hydrogen, plus the oxides of nitrogen. Now, how this happens? Or why you are not getting hydrogen? The question is asked like this. Why hydrogen is not evolved in the reaction between metal and a dilute nitric acid? That's the question. Now, the answer is, listen, dilute nitric acid, dilute, what I mean is dilute. If I want to be precise, it must be 1% dilute nitric acid. Okay. So, dilute nitric acid is a very good oxidizing agent. It's a very good oxidizing agent. What do you mean by oxidizing agent? Oxidizing agent means it helps in oxidation. It helps in oxidation means it is helping to give the oxygen to it. You know oxidation means what? Adding of oxygen or removing of hydrogen. We have studied in lesson 1. Okay. So being dilute nitric acid is a very good oxidizing agent. Agent means helps in oxidation. It is very easy to give oxygen to the other one. So it's a very good oxidizing agent. What happens is, actually speaking, hydrogen is formed here. You know, hydrogen is formed here, but this nitric acid being a very good oxidizing agent, it gives this oxygen to whom? Hydrogen, to make it into what? Water. See how the reaction goes? Very important. Once again I am telling you, actually hydrogen is liberating. But why it converts into water? Why? Because this dilute nitric acid is a very good oxidizing agent. What do you mean by oxidizing agent? Which helps in oxidation, which gives oxygen to the other one. So hydrogen, the formed hydrogen, oxygen is giving, from this nitric acid, oxygen is giving to hydrogen to form that, converting it into H2O or water. Is it clear? Okay. Now, what is this oxides of nitrogen? This oxides of nitrogen means, listen carefully, since this is an oxidizing agent, all oxidizing agent means this helps in oxidation. But simultaneously, listen, whoever is act as an oxidizing agent, simultaneously it will get reduced. See what happens here? It is a very good oxidizing agent. That means it is giving oxygen to the other one. Correct. So when it gives oxygen or when it helps in oxidation, what happens is whom is the oxidizing agent or whoever is the oxidizing agent, it itself getting reduced to what? The oxides of nitrogen. Like HNO3, that is oxides of nitrogen means nitric oxide, nitrous oxide, nitrogen dioxide, etc. Nitrous means laughing gas, nitrous oxide. So this is happening in this equation or in this reaction. Very important. You got it? Clear? Okay. So this is an exceptional case where metals on reacting with dilute nitric acid does not form hydrogen, but instead it forms water and oxides of nitrogen. The value point is, I mentioned it as value point because it's always a board exam question. The value point is dilute nitric acid is a very, very good oxidizing agent. Got it? Clear? Now, in this also, there is one exception. See, please listen carefully. Please make the notes on your own. Okay, go through the textbook. Okay, don't get confused. See, I told you, metals react with the dilute HNO3 to give salt and water. Or the question is, why hydrogen is not liberated in this reaction? Exception is, two metals will give hydrogen. See, two metals will give hydrogen when it react with the nitric acid. This is an exceptional case. Only two metals react with dilute HNO3 to form water. And which are the two metals? That is magnesium and manganese. MM. Both MM. Magnesium and manganese react with the dilute nitric acid, that is 1% nitric acid, to form what? Salt plus hydrogen. Because in this case, this does not act as an oxidizing agent. It does not give the oxygen to this hydrogen. The explanation you will study more in 11th standard. That is electronegativity and all. Okay, we will study later. Electronegativity of this magnesium and metal tends to form the hydrogen. That leave it. It is not of your cup of tea. Okay, so this is the exception. Okay, so once more I will tell you. That's all. So metal plus dilute acid will give you salt plus hydrogen. That's a generic equation for all the dilute acid except nitric acid. Now what about nitric acid? Metal plus dilute nitric acid will give you salt plus water plus oxides of nitrogen. Why? Because this dilute nitric acid is a very good oxidizing agent. It oxidizes the hydrogen to water. And itself getting reduced, very important, itself getting reduced to the oxides of nitrogen like nitric oxide, nitrogen dioxide or nitrous oxide. But in this also there are two exceptions. What is that? Two metals will give hydrogen on reaction with dilute nitric acid. What are they? Magnesium and manganese. So now you have a feel of how the reactivity of metals varies from metal to metal. Isn't it? That is why in the last class we talked about the reactivity series. Okay. So this is all about what? This is all about the reaction with the dilute acids. Okay. Now next class we will discuss the reaction with salt solutions. Metals with salt solutions. Till now we got the reactivity of different metals, but that is not enough for writing an activity series. Some more reactions you have to go through. So that you will see the next class. So till then keep studying, prepare your notes, read the textbook thoroughly. Now whenever you write an equation, please balance the equation and write and study Till then, thank you.